I jumped in the market when I was in college, like a fool. I didn't know anything. Okay, I had no clue about contracting, very minimal business experience. But I did realize that there was a lot of supply out there because the market had crashed. So I knew that there was somebody picking them up, which are called investors. So I used a little bit of common sense to boost me. With that said, though, we took on a couple projects that we had no idea. Didn't know how to bid them, didn't know how to manage them, didn't even know what investors really did, how they operate, where their money came from. I didn't know how the systems worked, so we bombed. But that was good because I had to learn that you got to fail. You have to fail. There's no doubt about it. I still fail. I'm being honest. We still make mistakes. You can't be perfect in this business, as he said, as Nick said. There are a lot of things that go in and out of this business, and it deals with all the different hands that exchange this and information, things like that. We're approaching our 600 flip in the last 7 years alone. I think we're at like 586. I have it in mind. We have a software system that we use, and I think it's 586. I think we may have just signed on for up to 592 now. My goal is to hit 600 and walk away. That's that simple. What I've learned over the years, honestly, is that there's so much missing than what meets the eye on TV. You guys watch HCTV, DIY, everybody's like, oh, I want that kitchen. Well, it's a $75,000 kitchen. Scratch it. Or they look at it and say, oh, this is easy. I could do this, right? I can go and flip a house. No, you can't. You got to do some research, honestly. Like Nick said, he's had successes, he's had failures. So have I. And I'll have more of that tomorrow and the next day and next year. Some months you're hot, some months you're not. It's that simple. You can't ever know enough, but you need to know a lot. It's that simple. Right. So what we did is the Garcilaso Group is a contracting company. I was not a contractor by trade. Like I said, I was a businessman who understood contracting because my family was involved in the business. So I learned, well, funny story. I got into my first fight. Justin's wife will tell you about it. You can ask her later. I was a freshman in high school. I got into a fight with a kid. I won. His family sued me. I had to get a job. I'm 13, 14. My first job was working for my uncle who was in the trades. And I learned real quick what that life's all about when you're 13, 14, because he had no remorse for me. I had to be up at 6 in the morning. I had to be on the job sites. I didn't know how to swing a hammer. I couldn't do any of that stuff. I couldn't start a chainsaw, and he would like smack me around for it. You know, my fault. My fault. My dad went to college. You didn't. No, my bad. But the reality was, that's what he was trying to do, is show me, because he owned that business. He was trying to tell me that you got to be a business owner in this world. This is how you have to do it, but you have to be kind of cutthroat. Long story short, that's why I picked up all the trades. Through high school and college, I worked in the trades. Moving forward, we kept taking on more and more projects. Some of my first clients were hedge funds off Wall Street. I went big or went home. You know, that's my attitude in life, is go for fucking everything, period. So that's what we did. We started working with the hedge funds, and I realized that they have this crazy systematic approach of all these multiple layers of management that manages the rehabs, the acquisitions, the real estate, the leasing, the construction, the project management. Then you have the legal side of things, which is a whole other world. And it was very problematic for contractors, because honestly, contractors are very simple. Give me a list of things to do and I will go do it. That's all they want. I learned that early on when I was subbing out guys, saying, okay, here's your scope of work, and they'd have 1,000 questions. I'm like, dude, it says, change up the GFI, what do you need from me? So they were very specific. What does this mean? How do I get through this? I get that. Fast forward all these years later, now I've dumbed down my scopes of work to be as specific as possible for all of our subs, so that they ask the right questions, but for the most part, they get the uniformity of what I'm always going to provide them. All this came from experience. It's not like I knew how to do any of this stuff. So almost 600 flips later, what we've done is we've won all these awards. I don't care about that stuff, because what I've learned over all of these flips is there's still a need for education. And it comes from all aspects of the process. It comes from everybody who's involved in this transaction. The agent, because most agents that are involved in this deal that I've seen over 600 flips have no clue. It's very simple. And I'm not being rude or mean. I'm not talking shit. That's the reality of it. Even worse, the investors have no clue, because it's somebody else's money. So they come to me, they're like, I got a property. I ask a couple questions. What's your ARV? Is it under contract? When are you looking to start? If they can't answer those 3 questions for me, I walk. It's that simple. Been there, done that. I'm not a rookie. As a rookie, I'd be like, sure, let me baby you. Let me figure that out. I'm wasting my time and money as well. But I realize if they don't have that information up front prepared for me, they're not even ready for the flip. Red flags. Lenders, like Nick said, lenders are going to have terms, no matter how you look at it. The fastest lender in the rehab game that's going to give you the money to the investor the fastest is a hard money lender. In my opinion, they're legal loan sharks. What they are, right? They're going to charge you whatever the hell they want to charge you, and you want the house, so you're going to go with it. So you're already putting yourself as an investor behind the 8 ball, because now your stress level rises. Like Nick said, you're going to be paying a mortgage, right? All that's tied into this loan, into this equation, it's a transaction. Rehabbing really is a formula. It's a mathematical formula that you have to understand where eventually your clients, if it's not you investing, eventually your clients are going to come to you and say, I want that house, and then you're going to say, oh, it comps out well, it looks beautiful, and then they go, well, no, I got to get this return. I will teach you to understand what that return is so that you can better help them, because they might not even know what they're looking at themselves, because they're just taught, here's a formula, the 70% rule, and all of a sudden they put it here, they try to apply it. Now most contractors will look at that and say, your budget's $50,000, this house needs $175,000 of work. We all know that. But guys like us who've been doing it a long time will know how to use that 50 grand and focus on what matters with the comps, in unison with the agents, because again, the investors really don't get all that. They just want to make sure that they're going to get their money. It's a money game, that's what it is. They want to make sure they're going to get the return back. They don't understand all the other interlinkings to this transaction. Now again, you're probably thinking, how the hell does Ryan know all this shit? Well, because Ryan made sure he learned all this shit because I was losing money. I was getting ripped off, right? I need to know all the money that's sitting on the table, so I knew exactly how to discount my pennies. So I knew what my share, bless you. So I knew what my share was going to be. By doing so, I learned what an investor does and how they operate and why. By doing so, I learned what the agent should or should not be doing. By learning so, I partnered with some of the best hard money lenders in the nation so that I can understand how their lending requirements work. And now I've got this crazy network of thousands of investors, agents, contractors nationwide, and we can all help each other out now. I get calls all the time from agents that say, hey, you got any investors that I can work with on the south side? Sure, boom, here you go. Here's an email, introduction, I'm out. Lenders, send me referrals. Sure, boom, here you go, I'm out. But the reality is, there's still a lot of information out there that's not being taught. And a lot of these major programs out there is a fortune builder program. Excellent program, a lot of agents coming out of it, a lot of investors coming out of that, and they're fresh, they're everywhere, they're coming in heavy. They need representation, they need agents. Another big player out there is home investors. Those are those signs that say, we buy ugly houses. Oh, yeah. That's a legitimate strategy. They have ugly ass signs on purpose. We buy ugly houses. It's written in kindergarten scribble. That's some real shit. But my point is, that's how they learn, and that's a franchise. So those people are actually buying a $15,000 to $45,000 franchise to buy a market. So the way they're taught is very different. A lot of the people that own those are different types of investors. They're very corporate. CEO of Nike, he's got about 7. VP of Cisco, he's got about 7, all over the nation. Because you can have that work for you itself in real estate. They've all got, obviously, great salaries. They don't need this, but they know that real estate's going to make them more money. It's residual. I know what your password is, so it's my point. It's all about the residual. I'm not preaching to the choir. This is what it is. But my point is, these are the type of clients that are going to be looking for agents like you who are well versed in understanding the inner dynamics. How many agents here have a contractor on speed dial?
I am one.
One that you trust, or one that you're like, maybe I'll call him?
Oh, no, I got one.
So out of all of you, there's 2. How many of you guys have a bunch of real estate investors that you can bank on this year to make commissions? About 3. Okay, that's good. That's more than I thought.
Oh, I got one.
I've got a bankroll of investors, I've got a bankroll of lenders, I've got a bankroll of contractors. All could be yours. My point is, that's what we're here to do, is teach you guys. That's the missing link, is tying every single individual person to the transaction in there. And honestly, I always will believe that the person that holds the key to that success will always be the agent. That's my personal opinion. And I've watched this time and time again when I'll have a property that I walk with an investor. It just happened this past summer. We walk a house, we're looking at it, we're 2 weeks into sign contracts, we're 2 weeks into my guys are working. All of a sudden, now he wants to introduce the agent to the equation. I said, that's great, I don't have a problem with that, but she can't change anything. At this point, it is what it is. Now she's like, no, we gotta have these different doors, and we have to have a higher end backsplash, and we gotta have hardwood floors. She's not wrong, she's absolutely right, but she should have been part of the original equation. That's called the production phase of this investigation, of this process. But there are 3 steps to rehab. You have the production, that's all your contracts, that's all your diligence, that's all your partnering, that's all your paperwork, that's all your money. Then you have construction, that's the actual rehab. And then you have post-construction, which is the sale. You guys help out in the beginning, during, and the end. Your role is important. So our program will teach you how to work with contractors. Our program will teach you how to work with investors, how to work with lenders, create your team. Because at the end of the day, you guys could all work together, of course, but why not build your own individual team? Get your own contractor, get your own title company, and then build your business up. Because remember one thing, investors, for the most part, they want to build volume. They're buying bulk. They want to buy 50 properties this year. Chances are they'll get 2. but they want to buy 50 properties this year. They're all ambitious, it's business, we're all entrepreneurs, that's why we're here. But they want to buy a lot of properties, and they need the right team to help them with those acquisitions during the construction process and then post-construction process. And you guys play a vital role in that. Now, we have clients that are nationwide. They call all the time. Remember one thing about investors, you don't have to live in Chicago to buy in Chicago. I got investors from Tampa, I got an office in Tampa now. You can talk, I love it. Feedback. But my point is, I have a lot of clients in different states that call to buy here. First thing they say is, what agent do you use? We got a lot of properties. We have a lot of partners. Frank Moncho for one, I'm sure a lot of you heard him. We use him on the south side. But my point is, we have a lot of partners that we use, and now what I want to do is start bringing on more for us as well. Because you're going to help my network out. Because we get a lot of phone calls, I just screen them out. Now I'm going to certify everybody. And I can say, look, exit strategy is Roddy Rehab certified. Any one of these agents can take your project from A to Z, period, end of story. But you also be able to work with guys like us who get the process too to kind of help you. Nick was talking about you guys have a kind of like a joint venture going on within the office.
Yeah.
Hey, at the end of the day, guys, call me. I'll walk on the sidelines with you and just give you advisement. I mean, that's the whole point of what we've done. I learned early on that I could flip till I'm blue in the face. I'm over that shit. I'm done being honest. I've been flipping forever. I have nothing left to prove. We've done it all. We've won all the awards. Now I want to focus on what's missing, and that's the education. I want to focus on what the missing links are, and that's just bringing more people together that understand the process. The process is what's flawed in house flipping. It's not always going to be the contractor, it's not always going to be the lender, it's not always going to be the agent, it's not always going to be the investor. But if there's one missing link, you're just as strong as the missing link, right? So as long as your team understands their roles and how to come play ball, you'll be fine. You're going to make mistakes though, because at the end of the day, you can read anything you want, just like college. You have to apply that shit. That's a whole different world when you go apply it. In real estate investing, you have to do it to learn it. You can read all day long, you can pay for all the programs in the world, but you have to do it to learn it. When I got into this business, again, I didn't know anything, but I had to do it to learn it. I made a million mistakes, I lost tens of thousands of dollars, but
I was wondering, with all the flips that you do you give all of your contractors and the people that you work with, do you create the contracts, or do they?
my attorneys create the contracts.
Okay, so you use.
I'll share that with you guys so you have an idea from a legal standpoint what those look like. We always, and again, we'll have all of that in detail in this course. I'll bring all of my templates, scopes of work, bidding, pricing, contracts,
You go off
why,
like
lien
the
waivers.
or AGC forms, or?
They're basically like that. We don't really
Fair
use
enough.
them. The reality is those are good for development.
Yeah.
We're in redevelopment.
Right.
So you're asking a remodeler to be a general contractor.
Right.
But here's the thing you guys are all missing that I had this conversation this morning with the client. In the state of Illinois, you don't have to be a licensed contractor. It's one of the few states that doesn't make you have to have a state license where you actually take an exam and learn that. Now, Chicago requires you to have a license, but you're not taking a test.
You just have to
You're
have
paying
insurance.
it. Show insurance and pay your tab.
Yeah.
Evanston makes you take a test. I took that test. It was brutal. I hated it. Never do it again.
Well, see, I get a lot of calls from people, it's after it goes wrong, and that's the lawyers, we're the cleanup. Like in Pulp Fiction, the eagle pulls up and cleans up all the shit. That's what we do. And
I'm glad you said that.
It's very difficult because people, my husband's a contractor and they don't like paper.
Sure.
I was doing a bid for him last night and I was
Sure.
like, no, just tell me what the deal is. And I'll use words
Sure.
that define what it is. But I think, from just the legal perspective of it, that's the difficulty because you have all these different contracts from the different angles, all these different parties. So that's just what I was wondering, is if you try to centralize that with your flips.
And then the general contractor is normally a holding company. They're not even functioning or doing anything.
Your general contractor is usually operating like as an owner's rep,
Right.
right? You're paying me to do the shit you don't want to deal with because you're busy, right? I got to manage the day-to-day. I got to manage ordering the subs. I got to help them make sure they're ordering materials, make sure they're just doing what they're supposed to do based on the schedule. But what you're hiring is a manager. A general contractor understands business. You hire a crew, you're going to be babysitting all day long.
Right.
But you're hiring a general contractor who deserves the fee if they do their job, right? And sometimes their fees are going to be high. So in normal construction, you can charge 33% as a margin as a general contractor. Not rehab. 33% if I went to build that building. But in a rehab, 10-50% tops. Most contractors don't get that. They don't care. They won't do it. So what they do, they try to rob everybody and add more money to the line items. So either way, they're bulking up. They're going to get their other 50% in the line items.
Right.
We're going to show you all of that, all the tricks of the trade and how to work with the right contractors. Because we're also certifying contractors to join our network to do it right, to do it my way, the way that's been proven that works. Well, my point is, those are good questions. There's a lot of cleanup that happens with attorneys. Attorneys are making a lot of money off these issues with lien waivers and liens and all this other
But part
garbage.
of it, I mean, I think that's the issue is, I have a background in construction, but working for larger law firms, I was the only one with that background. And
Sure.
so you could throw a lawyer into the room, and they can muck it up or they can make it better.
Yeah.
But construction and real estate are defined very specific areas of law, but the average attorney doesn't have that background.
That's correct.
And so as a result, if you send just any average lawyer you pick up on the street, they handle mechanics lien, they have no idea. And
My
there's
attorney's
an
a specific
assumption.
real estate attorney for this reason.
There's an assumption that because, like doctors, if you find a doctor, they went to medical school, they all learned how to, treat a broken arm, how to diagnose lots of things. They know more and are trained more broadly. Lawyers in their careers are trained more specifically. And so
Sure.
if you don't have somebody with that background, unless they're in the
You're right.
industry, in real estate, they can potentially wing their way through a closing, maybe.
You're right. No,
It's
but
difficult.
that's any industry though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a doctor that went to med school. You have an A doctor, B doctor, and a C doctor. Which one do you
Yeah.
want to see? Everyone wants to see the A doctor. You have an A lawyer, B lawyer, C lawyer. You got A contractors, B contractors.
Sure.
It doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're going to have your levels of, I guess.
Competency.
Yeah, it's more of a
And
competency.
I
than
wouldn't
expertise,
draw it to
exactly.
where they're educated or anything like that, but it's who's doing it. Same
So, to your point though, with our contracts are specifically made by real estate attorneys on purpose to cover the lien issues. So you have your hold harmless agreements in there, you have we're gonna take partial lien waivers for every payment. And we actually show contractors how to fill those out, because sometimes they are complicated. So we show them how to fill that out the correct way, get it notarized, file it. Remember one thing about contractors, most contractors, they're not businessmen. They're really not. I'm telling you, they're doers.
Yeah.
They're soldiers. Give them something to do, they're gonna go do it. You don't tell them what to do, they're gonna do it wrong. It's that simple. But if you have a general contractor, my job is to make sure that I've screened everything. I've scrutinized everything. I've asked enough questions that everything I need to make sure is covered is in the contracts. One of the things we've done as a company is we have a software team called Builder Trainer. That's a custom home building software in Nebraska. There is nothing in this industry that's for rehabbing. Zero, nothing. I've searched for years. So I partnered with Builder Trainer so we could build a new one. So hopefully that takes off. That'd be amazing. I retire real quick. So I'm trying to get that off the ground because there's a need. My point is there's a need. We're creating a user forum by where the lender, the agent, the contractor, and the investor can all access the same transaction based on role-based access control for whatever they need. So the agent doesn't need to see all the contractor schedule, maybe a little bit to see when they can start pre-marketing, right? The lender can come in and say, okay, cool, I see progress, I can send out the draw, right? It minimizes all these emails and phone calls and follow-up. It's all there in the system, and we use that system now.
Check Primavera.
I'm sorry, Primavera?
Primavera.
No, I
It's
haven't.
large-scale construction contracting.
Oh, for large scale, right.
Yeah, it can be pared down.
Sure.
So check them
No,
out.
we'll do. Send me an email when I
Okay,
send you an
I
email.
will.
But my point again is, our program is going to certify you guys to understand A to Z, how to work with A to Z, how to bring your team together A to Z, how to make this office, the office in Chicago to go to have other agents that say, I'm coming over to Exit, but also to have other investors saying, I'm going to go over to Exit because they get what I'm doing. Because your investing client is going to be very different than your consumer client. Those consumer clients are going to be there, they want to spend 15, 20 years with their family, have their kids go to good schools, and hopefully you get a referral from their sister. Shit's not going to happen. Wake up. It's not. You're going to be waiting forever. My clients are buying and buying and buying and buying and buying and buying and buying. You may not like the neighborhood that they're buying in, but if they buy 10 in Calumet City, that's 10 commissions you just made.
Yeah.
If they want you to also go ahead and sell those properties, there you go. Okay? You have all types of buyers. You have the solo investor, you have hedge funds, you have equity firms, you have private funds, you have groups of managing brokers that put money together and say, we're going to buy some properties. You can represent anybody from any walk of life. It's like they teach you in real estate school. I took the course. But they say, don't ever judge a person that walks in by their dress. Right? Investors are no different. They walk in and you're like, look at this bum. Loaded.
Yes.
Or the guy that walks in with the Armani shirt that he could barely afford, broke as hell. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. I've worked with it all. Or the guys that come in that know it all. They don't know shit. And that's kind of why my demeanor is the way it is, because I've seen it all. I've worked with it all. And I've done my best to try to go the extra step further to work with these guys. And sometimes you're like, I'm out. I've done what I can for you. I can no longer assist you. But again, that's what this program is all about. There's nothing like it on the planet. It's the first of its kind. And the reason why I know that is because every major program in the world that offers these programs to investors are lacking this. That's why I created it. It comes from the construction side of understanding where your contractor is coming from. And again, It's kind of ironic that you have a contractor who's very successful in what they do teaching this. Not an investor, not an agent, not a lender. But I recognized early on that if I wanted to have a multi-million-dollar company, I had to have a multi-million-dollar mind. That's what you're looking at. So with that said, you're gonna learn the steps of the construction process. I'm not gonna make anybody an expert here. That's not your job. But the more knowledge you know, knowledge is power. So how many of you knew or know that there's about a 50-step rehab process? Okay. Our program is going to teach you all 50 steps, and there's going to be prerequisites on certain numbers that say you can't be at step 23 if you haven't done 13, 14, and 15. Right? That's going to help you understand where you need to be in the process. That'll also help you as an agent understand maybe where you can start offering the pre-market. You know, technically we're here. You think, you know, we can get the outside looking good. I take some pictures. Nick knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's a system. Everybody plays a role in this transaction. So even though you helped them with the acquisition, don't go far. Don't go far. Because they will be calling you to, we got to check the comps. Oh, this material is way too high for the budget. Can we find something similar? What do you think? Oh, well, the house down there sold for whatever, $630,000, and they've got quartz. We have to have quartz. Okay, great. Well, this is a $1.2 million ARV, and they've got a $23,000 appliance package. We got them focused on the appliances then. Those are the things that matter from an agent standpoint. And that's where your value is. It's unprecedented. So again, those are the things we're going to show you on top of the construction aspects of things. Then we're going to show you the closeout, the process of paperwork, lien waivers, certificate of occupancies if you're in the leasing side or renting side, because you remember you have different type of investors. Not every investor wants to flip.
No.
I represent a company called SLM Property. They're out of South Side Chicago. They want to do, or actually they have about 250 open rehabs right now, all rentals though. So their margins are a little bit smaller, but they're willing to put more money into the rehabs because they want for the long term, because they know that eventually they're probably going to sell the entire portfolio. So they don't mind putting a little bit of money in the front. A lot of guys won't though. We represent clients out of Detroit. They will put no more than $15,000 into any Section 8 property. That's great. We'll probably put $15,000 back in it every year, but that's their decision. Well, my point is, it's endless the type of investors that you can represent out there. There are tons of them looking for different reasons. So again, that's kind of what I was here for. It was very, very candid. I'm not here to waste time. Eat your food. I don't care what you guys do. Bert, Link, fart. The point is, enjoy it. But there's so much more that I can teach you that I would never have enough time to teach you. I'm teaching the course here on February 10th. It's a Friday. That'll be an 8-hour course. We'll be here. We'll have lunch. But you're going to learn everything, and you're going to leave certified. You're all going to join my network. I'll put you in contact with clients right away. I'll put you in contact with a lot of our lenders so they understand who's out there. And we're going to get you some partners that you can get out there and start adding investors to your current book of business. Now, by no means am I saying leave what you're doing. Keep what you're doing. Add this to your book of business. Make yourself more marketable as an agent, saying, not only can I just sell that building, but you know what, let's get into the redevelopment game a little bit. Because that's short-term, faster cash, to be honest with you. They want to buy. Just because they bought today doesn't mean they want to buy again tomorrow. Because remember, they're using other people's money. So as long as that homeowner lender's like, I could fund you in 48 hours, you'll be looking for properties for them every single day until they don't like it. Forever, exactly. And that's what we're going to teach you guys. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. It was very informal. I appreciate the time, Nick. Thank you for the time. But there's a lot of knowledge that is out there that we want to teach you guys, and we're doing this on a national basis. I'll be in Tampa next week teaching some agents. But this is what we do, and the need is there. So if anybody's interested, please sign up for the course today and let me know.